We understand the problem of how we got to the mess we have gotten ourselves into as far as financing and buyers buying over their head. And we realized that Noelle's house that she bought for $1 million, the loan is now $1.1 million, but the value is $700,000. Okay, so when after Noelle tries to refinance the property, the bank comes back and says, you know what, there's nothing we can do for you. Why don't you try a short sale? Okay, a short sale is when the owner is forced to put the property on the market and sell it for less than the loan amount. Okay, at that point there's 2 or 3 lenders involved. Okay, the second and the third is all involved. And who's going to get most money? The first lender, because they own 80% of the property. So they're going to get the most amount of money. And so typically a first lender is pretty open-minded about, short selling the property. They take a $100,000 loss, $50,000 loss, and they move along. The second lender is the one that gets their legs cut off at the knees, because they did a very risky loan. It was a higher interest rate, but they're going to lose almost their entire amount. By law, the first lender is only required to pay the second lender a certain amount of money. Anybody know how much? $1,000. By law, me as a first lender only has to pay the second lender $1,000 to walk away. So I call you up and I say, I'm Wells Fargo, you're a small bank, and I call up, we're trying to deal with a transaction that you have a $250,000 loan amount on. The borrower is in default. They haven't paid their mortgage in 4 months, and they want to short sell the property. We want to do this because it's good for us, and we're going to give you $1,000 to wipe away the $250,000 loan. Are you all right with that? Anybody wants to just throw away $200,000, $250,000? Anybody excited to do that? Well, the second lender is definitely not excited to do that. And so what they do is they try to play hardball. They will come back to this first lender and say, no, the only way I'm going to release the lien on the property, on the second lien, is if I get 10% of my loan amount. I want at least 10% of my loan amount, which is $20,000. Okay? Well, if the first lender is already taking a loss, of $50,000 to $100,000, do you think they're going to be excited to pay the second lender $20,000 or $25,000? No, they agreed to give $1,000. Okay. Now I've seen sometimes the first lender offer up to $5,000 or $10,000 just to walk away from it. Sometimes, not very often. Who do you think the second lender comes after for the extra money? If they can't get it from the bank, they definitely can't get it from the seller because the seller has no money. Oh, hey, Mr. Buyer, you're so excited about this property that I think you'll be willing to do anything to buy it. So I've had situations after waiting for 3 months for an answer from the first and second lender. I've had a situation where the second lender comes back and says, thank you so much for your interest in the property. We are willing to approve the short sale. All you have to do is pay $20,000 out of your pocket over the appraised value of the property to make this deal work. Anybody want to pay $20,000 out of pocket over value for a property?
Nope.
Come on. No. Okay. So it's short sales. To wrap it up, we'll keep talking about it, but to get back to your question, a short sale is a pre-foreclosure when you have the borrower involved, the first lender and the second lender, and possibly a third lender. Everybody's involved at that point.
Okay.
Now, if
the buyer at the time was putting a down payment, everything gone, he is not getting anything. The one that is kicked out of the house.
No.
When I took a mortgage, they asked me you have to put 10% down payment. Everything gone.
Everything's gone.
So the buyer is not getting anything.
Nothing. You mean the seller, the person losing the property? Yeah, yes, they don't get anything. Huh? All they get is a less of a ding on their credit. So if you short sell a property, the new credit regulations is that for 2 years your credit's going to be clouded, but after 2 years you can buy a house again. If you get a foreclosure, anybody know how many years it takes before you can buy? 5 to 7 years.
Wow.
It's kind of changing right now. Every day something new is up, but between 5 to 7 years before you can even think about buying a house again. And even then, when you go back to buy, you're going to pay really high interest rates because you're a liability. Okay? So a foreclosure is when the bank has kicked out the borrower, kicked him out of the house. They've kicked out the second lender because they can't agree with the second lender because she doesn't want to accept $1,000. Her thought process, the second lender says, well, instead of accepting $1,000, I don't even care about the money. I'm just going